mention patriotism, and Americans think July 4th, parades, and John Philip Sousa. Born 150 years ago, Sousa was famous throughout the world as America's March King.
He was like the Beatles. He was the biggest showman in the world, and the highest paid and the most successful. He logged 16,000 concerts between 1892 and 1932 when he died on the job. Took an 80-piece band around the world in 1911.
For sure, he performed in every state in the nation, but he had some special connections with New Jersey. His first concert with his civilian band took place in Plainfield, New Jersey in 1892. He often played in Cape May for vacationing United States presidents, and
he was the first band that played for the Miss America pageant, which was a concept of the Atlantic City people to get business after Labor Day back into Atlantic City. Well, let's have a beauty pageant and let's get the Sousa Band to play it.
Here's Sousa with the Bathing Beauties of 1921.
Sousa was a patriot, first of all, a genuine patriot in his own thinking, in his own feeling, in his own mind and emotion. He believed strongly in this country, and he knew the country was going through difficult times. The Spanish-American War, we were going up to pre-World War I, we had anarchy, we had social problems, we had immigrants coming in, cacophony of new voices coming into the country. And Sousa wanted to be on the forefront of riding on the patriotism that was coming out of the Civil War. After the Civil War, there was a union of the states, and the idea sweeping the country in the 1870s and 80s was that we could be a union again, we could be one nation.
Everything was patriotic back in that time. I mean, George M. Cohan was doing stuff. America was a jingoistic place then, and the Yankee Doodle dream was telling the world how to do it and doing it bigger and better and faster. And we invented the refrigerator and the automobile and the airplane, and Sousa was the musical messenger. Some feel that Sousa really embodies everything that was good about America, and a lot of us have forgotten. So that's what people think, not necessarily what I think. I mean, Sousa didn't work on the 4th of July. He was a commercial musician who had a big band and made a lot of money.
He became, by the 1890s, a legend, a superstar in this country.
Actually, for me, it's not so much about the patriotism of the music, although sometimes that resonates. It resonates more on the sense of community, and bringing people locally together, people that we know and care about together.
The Blauenberg Band has been playing Sousa's music in small town squares for over 115 years. Sousa himself had this to say about his patriotic marches.
Marches are, in a sense, my musical children. I think Americans, and many other nationals for that matter, brighten at the tempo of a stirring march because it appeals to their fighting instincts. Like the beat of an African war drum, the march speaks to a fundamental rhythm in the human organization and is answered. I can speak with confidence because I have seen men profoundly moved by a few measures of a really inspired march.
Sousa was a showman, a wildly successful businessman, and a patriot, but he was also a first-class composer.
The craft of it, it's brilliantly composed. It has lovely parts. He's like Beethoven. Everybody in the band gets something to do.
The flute and piccolo parts are very active, and so it's a lot of fun to play.
We sit with the French horns, and we play and they play chuck. So it's chuck, and you'll hear that rhythm driving the band with the bass drum. Bass drum is the heart of the band. Sousa paid his bass drummer top dollar. He paid him more than anybody else.
Gus Heimlicke was his name, and he was a maestro on the bass drum. He could play melodies on the bass drum, and he would be right in the center of the band with this huge bass drum. The cymbal would be mounted on the top of the bass drum at an angle, and in his left hand, he would hold the other cymbal, and he would play that cymbal, boom, boom, while he was playing with the beater in his right hand on the bass drum. So the hit of the cymbal and the bass drum would be perfectly synchronized. If Sousa were alive today, he would be very pleased that his music was still being played. Not surprised, but he would be very pleased that it was so popular and that it was experiencing a resurgence. He would also be pleased that it would be serving the same function that it did during his lifetime, which was to unite people, to bring people together, especially in this country, but also the entire world. He wrote a march that I dearly love called Hands Across the Sea. Da 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 da. Simple trio melody. Da 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 da.